All right, how we doing reflections? Today I seen this in my bookmarks and I thought that this right here, it was intriguing, it was stimulating because of the simple notion or the claim of we have clones of ourselves in Antarctica. They are harvesting us. And it's always this word right here, they. Why do people act like they are so separate from themselves? I just did a video on Doctor Strange and whatnot, and it was a discussion of the malevolent timelines. Excuse me, by the way, the malevolent timelines. And the moment you see these malevolent timelines, you end up seeing the most negative parts of yourself. You start seeing the most hungry or the most hunger-driven variations of yourself that cause you to consume worlds like Galactus. If you watch the new age version of Fantastic Four, which to me isn't like the first original one, but the comics are better anyway. So when you're the consumer of worlds, the benevolent side of us, so the good side of us, like in Superman, how the symbol stands for people knowing that they are the good guys. It's really on the fact of what is good when you have to do what's right in righteousness. That doesn't make you a killer, doesn't make you a bad guy, a thief, whatever, because people put that onto you. But when it comes down to saving somebody's life, people are not ready for the paradoxical conditioning. And this will tie into Jeffrey Epstein as well, because I just seen something too to where Epstein was, which is just simply a system. Epstein was, oh, am I recording? Okay, good. Epstein was basically taking the cells of a minotaur and then exchanging or even combining that with a human and then making that hybrid. So now picture this one identity as a constitution, legislation, a judicial system, underground systems, secret societies. So put that one Epstein, that frame or that vessel that you see, the character that you may identify, that you may Google or research on whatever platform. Take that and now imagine a system, imagine groups, rooms of people meeting about how to control human DNA and the mind or the consciousness of our attention span. The moment they have our awareness in their hands, they take that away from our controlling because they put their trust in us. But we can't trust in ourselves because we're too busy fighting ourselves daily. Who's the cause of that? We can't blame them anymore because internally we became dependent on the system to give us what we are fighting survival with. People are the reason for why they are harvesting us. You are harvesting yourself. There are shows like Jujutsu Kaisen, for example, that talk about energy loosh or energy harvesting and the rituals and the sorcerers and the black magic, the white magic, all the Wicca and the hoodoo, the voodoo. All this sorcery is the cause for why we are in colder environments. So on my Patreon, I discuss, and shout out to the people who are subscribed and who are paying a monthly subscription to hear just more and more information. I'm also going to have more videos after this. But I talked about Inside Job 1. I'm going to do number 2 when they were talking about the labs. This may have been the one with the labs and how they freeze the celebrities. But it's the exact same way for us. It sounds it sounds insane to even discuss that to the average person. They're not going to be able to comprehend what you're saying. They're going to laugh at you. They're going to say names to belittle you because why are you thinking like that when they never thought that way before? But it would make sense to me on why they cloned Tyrone, why they cloned our identity. That's all that movie really is. Like the movie should have been named They Cloned Identities. But take identities out, just name it Tyrone because they would never think like that. They will never they'll never independently ask themselves, why is the Netflix movie just saying Tyrone? What is Tyrone? What is that significant for? What is the symbolism behind that? But see, you're thinking too deep, but that's a problem with shallow thinkers. They're afraid to think this deep because that's just a colder climate. Don't forget our sciences. You don't want to go into the Yakub story because Yakub is once again just a system or a hierarchy that men, inverted men, came up with. they felt some kind of way about biological men and women. So what did they do? They went into their villages, took pieces of their DNA, wiped them out. They aped the children, the boys, the girls, the moms, the dads, the bro, whatever. They did all of that, took them out and trafficked them outside the ice wall, fed them to entities, and then these entities that were feeding off of our fear and our energy, they now alchemize that. So they use the art of alchemy that they taught us, or that we taught them, because they couldn't teach us shit. But we taught them how to teach us because that teaching of us was our damnation. So we did a spell that became so wicked they used it against us, but they didn't have to do anything as far as moving the physical. They used the mind, and we got lost in our mind because of our ways within what we're introduced to, what we are grown up like when it comes down to being a baby within these Grey's anatomies. Let's get into it.
The craziest video I ever make. But those of you who are psychic, those of you who are spiritually awakened, those of you who've been through SRA, this video is definitely for you because you know we have clones underground, but some of us have clones in Antarctica.
You have clones everywhere. Because Antarctica is just a state of mind, a state of matter. So you materialize Antarctica. If your thoughts shape your reality, does your reality depict how real your thoughts are? If you never thought what your thoughts were before, and if you never thought of your thoughts before, how can you identify with that thought when that's not your pattern? But you recognize that pattern because of what? Feelings, beliefs, because of memories, because of traumas, because of epigenetic trauma. So if you're introduced to an inherited what will you always repeat? That same exact thought, that's not your idea, but your ideology. And if you materialize that into your physical, what does the world around you start to mimic?
And that's where they siphon our bioplasma and our matter manipulation energy, our reality powers, basically.
And this is how too, when they manipulate our energy and they take pieces of that from us and they splice that, they're using that for different technologies because we are the activation for a higher race. So if you watch Disclosure Day, I went to go see that yesterday. And when I went to go see it, the one thing that intrigued me was there was data and video footage of this. It was a system or a government called Wardex, and they were experimenting on the grays. I thought to myself too, why only the gray species? Why not the Nordics, the Anunnaki, reptilians? Insectoids, the mantic, Lyran, Siren. So there's so many different clusters of deities. I was just like, why are y'all only depicting them as gray? That's the thing. They want to use cloud symbolism as well. So it's still Luciferianism. Why would they give us and disclose the truth and through the sciences? So science will connect you to that gateway within Masonry or Luciferianism, Vatican teachings, really just ancient practices that were ceremonial sacrifices that people were afraid to even discuss if they weren't empowered. As they take parts of our plasma, our database, our energy, and they use that to fuel their machines. That's why the world around us became what it is, because this shit is done underground. They've been doing that shit since before consciousness existed, BCE. So go before a timeline, go before the year. So go past the negative timeline. So think about 2026, all the way behind. You go like you're going all the way back, go past 1900s, 1800s, go to year one. Now go past that. Negative timelines now. And Doctor Strange, this is where the malevolent timelines exist because we're still in that equilibrium of time. Is time good or bad? We can never describe or even depict that. Go past -1 on a timeline or just a linear equation of just numbers. You have the negatives. Go into the negative. Now really ask yourself, I'm getting lost in my own rabbit hole. Now ask yourself, how long has this been going on? Because this has not just been done on some year that we can explore on a search engine. You have to really be in tune with your spirit and ask, why do we do this to ourselves? It got so bad to the point to where people started feeding for this type of knowledge, and that's what killed. They put it in books, they started running. That's why you got all these different CIA movies and documentaries of people, they'll have some type of information in a book or a journal, and it's like they're running from the feds, they're running from CIA agents and shit. It's like, why do you think that is? Because the more you know, and especially if you saw your nature away, the more you will have to run from. Because when you get to know so much, you start to see that, you know what, this shit's really more sinister than I thought. That's why when you go into the underground space with remote viewing, you'll see why people are trafficked throughout that subway system and city system every single minute, every single second, because they are doing that to feel entities that prey upon our survival. And if we're not aware of that, that's why our energy keeps on being harvested through these rituals on the surface. Like the FIFA World Cup and the NBA Finals and shit, and the things going on in New York and Twitch streamers, for example.
Like they are taking us. They control our reality through us. And there's some movies that show the truth about this, like the Truman Show when he leaves towards Antarctica, and
But that's perspective. We can't really say Truman went to Antarctica because Truman was basically exiting the stage. So we're going to use that. Antarctica is next to the internalized identification of Agartha or inner Earth. And essentially where the figure of a black hole came from, because when you go inside the earth, you're now going into the vortex, and it's like interstellar. You now enter into all dimensions. When you enter into all dimensions, at this point, there is no savior, there is no God. That's why I be telling people, like, once you go beyond interstellar, like when you see beyond the bookshelf and you're behind it and you see yourself on the other side, where the fuck is God at in that moment? You. I am that I am, and you are not the I am, but you are watching who the I am is as your identity, but you are not watching yourself in that form. When you are in that form, as you're watching it play, the play tends to make the ego feel uncomfortable because holy shit, where am I at? That's the problem. That's why they don't let us or won't let us receive our internal gifts. Internal gifts meaning that our remembrance goes so deep. Lucy had to explain it and they still left us with a cliffhanger. When you access 100% of your mind, you'll be able to do things as far as bending time and space to your will. But do you have the power internally to fight against a system that despises your existence and your people as well? When you're doing it for the people, now the cells get to activate towards the people who relate to you. I'm saying that because every single day now, I'm getting new and new followers who are just giving me support. And the old version of me imagine these types of days. Now, mind you, who I was yesterday is not who I am today. So that is the imitation, or what people will call it, the clone. That's why we are not necessarily in the present. We are just watching a moment that we come across. But yet there is no one else outside of life or within life besides you. So a clone would never call himself a clone. And Truman did not go to Antarctica to escape from life because Truman basically went inside of the earth to witness the shadow society of what Truman was still going to be exploring. It was just a fact. If they were to do that type of movie, that they would have to make a part two. They have to leave it off of that because they don't want you to continuously think for yourself. They do that for you. This is why Luciferianism will blind society because they think as if this shit really is what it is. But you have to question and critically think about what they are delivering and what the message is. Because God will not talk. That's why Satan is do it for you and they give you a God to worship internally.
Matrix when Neo wakes up in that vat of liquid.
This is the cerebrospinal fluid, CSF. It's the fluid that the mind is surrounded with and cushioned by. So it protects your database. It protects how the mind thinks and how it moves and operates. And it protects you too from all different harms and projections and whatever else. But you're still not the mind. But if the mind's in control of itself, you won't know that you're in this.
Some of you guys have dreams where we are waking up in a medical bed and there's people above us.
Disclosure day is basically like that. This is how you know, mind you, this is another version of you, but it's not yourself. So people will be like, because I remember somebody saying, if you're saying that we are aliens from the future and whatever else, they were putting that as like it's demonic and you're a part of the psyop and whatever else. And that's the thing. People don't know how to think in contradictions. When you are, because I had a vivid imagination of this type of scenery as well. And that's why it awakened or illuminated my iris or my retina, meaning that I fell so deep into my lens of my eyes or my camera shutters. I was able to capture those memories to where now I can articulate what this type of situation is today because it's a law of hermeticism, as above, so below. So you're not really looking at the alien or the deity. You're just looking at another form of what you decided to replicate as yourself because the ego fears what it does not know. But when you know yourself, these beings get to know you and start giving you the gifts that you were always going to receive anyways. It may be uncomfortable, but when you know that you should not fear itself will now start awakening and wiping the fog from the first eye. When you open up that eye, this shit don't look so different from yourself because there is no damn God. But oh my God, what are you when you're this, but you're not being this right now currently? So when you get abducted, is it really a kidnapping? Is it really trafficking? When you're just picking yourself up and putting yourself back down again to comprehend the way life is on the surface?
And sometimes it's aliens too, but you don't know where you are, and
Yeah.
it most likely is Antarctica, where they have us stuff stuck into us, and
So that's the neurological network.
where they have us
That's a neurological network. Mind you, you are the spirit that is in the shell, but the shell is the tool, and you just play with the notes. That's why life itself is a song. And if you are not activating energy in your neurological pathways, you will not awaken the ghost in the shell because you are still artificially intelligent. That's exactly why there's no difference from a robotoid, humanoid, just whatever oid that you want to discuss or place. A Saturnian, a Martian, Uranian, Plutonian, doesn't matter what simulation, what realm, you are the shell that's watching itself play and act. Whatever form or identity that you want to put, what the fuck, stuttering and shit, nigga, slow the fuck down, bitch. Damn, I feel good. When you are not, that shit was crazy as fuck. My fault. When you are the identity, when you watch the identity, that's how you know what you can be. But is that who you are? No. But don't ghost yourself. Don't ghost what you thought you could have been. That's not what you're supposed to be, but you're becoming the embodiment of what you're going to be anyway.
stuff stuck into us, and they're siphoning us just like in the Matrix. But also, there's this newer movie called Everywhere, Everything,
I'm still watching that. Yeah.
Everywhere, All at Once, or something, with those two Asian couple where they connect their other dimensional timeline selves together, and they can see both bodies at the same time. So I think sometimes we see that too when we see that vision of our body in the medical bed. And another thing, some of us have implants of black goo in our body
Neuromelanin, but people call it or just demonize it as loosh or whatever else.
that prevents us from spiritually awakening fully and achieving our powers or whatever. But really, you need to detox that. I'm gonna add a video to the end of this one to show you how to detox, and also maybe upload the full one after.
All the bacteria that does need to get detoxed. All the bacteria and all the parasites. I would just call that black goo shit a parasite. It's like a symbiote, basically like Venom. So if you watch Venom and you're into the Spider-Verse and whatever else, that symbiote connection is otherworldly. And if it's in your food, if it's in your clothes, if it's in your hair, if it's in your water, if it's in your toothpaste, if it's in the screen, how are you able to detox from it? You have to get away from the things that you feel called to practicing a ritual in, because everything is ritualistic depending on how you see the magic within your thoughts.
Afterwards. We I don't know what to do, guys. Like, I don't know what to do. Look up Deprogram SRA 6.9. I'm pretty sure some of you have seen him already, where he talks about his experiences in the undergrounds. But he has some manip like techniques to help. But oh shit, this is just like the craziest revelation I've ever had. Because sometimes A lot of times throughout my life, I close my eyes and I see movement. Like there's people on top of me, but there's no one there.
That's the thing. There isn't anyone there. That's how limited our comprehension is. That's why, because think about it, the scientists had to blind us with what they wanted us to see. Like they basically wanted us to see less than 1%. That's why the eyes lie. When the mind knows it cannot see the lies that the eyes cannot comprehend itself. And the moment you understand that you cannot really see what you're supposed to be seeing, that's what blinds you from seeing the real. You cannot see who you really are because there's many versions of you right now watching you in your space, and yet you don't feel their presence. That's why a lot of this shit, mind you, I feel like I'm having a spiritual awakening in this video right now. No bullshit. Because holy shit, my mind amazes me because I'm not even aware of the thought, but the thought itself is just coming out because I'm seeing how active stimulation gets whenever you want the betterment for human evolution and consciousness. And it's crazy because when you notice that there is no deity looking down at you, all you're really doing is being inspired by your higher self, and you're just tripping. You're tripping within your mind because it's like your neurons are, god damn, it's like you are the neuron, you are the tool, you are the medium, you are the channel, you are the energy or the particle, the cell that travels all throughout your brain. Your mind, holy shit. Your mind does not know what external is. It does not know what the outside could be. The outside could be anything, but how do we depict everything to be real when reality itself is not the wording that we can put towards that sorcery? Because that's the spell we put on ourselves. The moment you notice that there's nothing looking down at you is when you finally get to see yourself and you get up from that bed and then you lucid dream. That's all the shit is. When you notice that these deities are looking down at you, they're waiting to see if you'll get the fuck up. When you get up, now you're walking in the astral realm and you're aware of every surrounding of the quantum field. That means you can conduct and orchestrate the code to life. And that's math, that's numerology, that's gematria, that's numbers. When you know the code to the simulation, the activation of your mind will give you the life that you can now control at your own extent because you still had to give your mind that capability of doing what it had to do. So you watch it do what it does when you're having fun with the awareness. So you're not surprised about these things happening because spiritually it was going to be regardless of how you felt with yourself.
How I used to think, oh, these are spirits on top of me on the bed right now, but no, it actually might be from my other body. Shit. But damn, I really don't know what to say, guys, except just to tell you this information, and if anyone else could confirm, because I have some people who confirm this, especially you remote viewers and you astro projectors, if you could actually go to Antarctica and look, you you, you could see it, and they have AI connected to us. They track our
Ooh, hey, comment down below if you want me to make a video on that specific topic. They have AI connected to us. I can channel that message and give you a video on that because I have seen something like that. And that to me makes sense, even with the backroom video I made a YouTube video on. Yeah, comment that down below if you want to see that. If not, that's all right too. I might make that shit regardless. I may even Patreon it. But if you want to see this on YouTube, just let me know. I don't mind doing
you
that.
can see it,
That's easy.
and they have AI connected to us. They track our vitals all the time, and they try to unalive us when we get out of line. So I think it's time we get our bodies back.
Yeah, if you want to get your body back, you have to lucid dream and be in that awareness. And once you're in that awareness, you will save yourself in a quantum effect of a science that you can basically commit upon yourself when these beings are looking down at you. So those grays are technically the way we see scientists as humans in the skin. They're playing upon our lens. That's how asleep we are. We actually see scientists as normal people, but that's the joke. I'm gonna just stop it right there. I appreciate you all for tuning into this mindful message. I'm just gonna tie that into the Antarctica and AI connection because that to me is very interesting. So yeah, if you want to see that, just comment this down, yeah, comment it down below. Excuse me, how I know you made it this far as well. Just basically comment, I would like to see the AI connected to us in Antarctica and the human cloning and the clone A connection that ties into that. And I'll make a separate video from that. But I appreciate you for watching and thank you for being here. I want to really do some more research on that. But I appreciate you all for supporting and prosperous awakening and successful afternoon and abundant and determined night to any being who is mindful of the simulation and how it treats us. I appreciate you so much. I love you and thank you for being here and making it this far. And if you are thankful to be where you are and you're currently just being present with your thoughts, you are destined for more than greatness. Go beyond the greatest of all time because you are meant to be whatever that is supposed to be in your eyes. Have a great and prosperous night. Fucking, I got five on it.